Hello, thank you for joining us for the presentation entitled Make Your Credits Count with a Guaranteed Course Credit Transfer Agreement. My name is Lynn Novak and I'm with Carroll University, Wisconsin's first institution of higher education. Joining me today are panelists from the Wisconsin Technical College System and WAICU, Wisconsin Association of Independent Colleges and Universities. The fact that you are joining us today and thinking about college gets us excited because after all, that's really what we do. Community college, technical institutions, associate degrees, bachelor's degrees, transfer credits, general electives. The terms are endless and often confusing, but that's what we're here to help you with. So whether you're a rising senior or a college student already looking to perhaps transfer, we hope to offer a tip or two to help you on their journey. A journey that is unique to you. You know, many high school students select a college, enroll, and graduate, and others begin one place and end up completely somewhere else. And in fact, over 30% of college students do transfer from more than one institution. And that's why we believe it's so important that you have a plan, that you make informed decisions so that you're investing your time and your money wisely. Our goal really is to get you to transfer smart and not hard, and realize that there are a number of resources and tools at your fingertips. So we're going to start with the first tool today, and that is making your credits count with a course credit transfer agreement between the Wisconsin Technical College System and WAICU, Wisconsin Association of Independent Colleges and Universities. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to Kathy.
Great, thank you, Lynn. Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to meet all of you here online. My name is Kathy Paul, and Lynn mentioned I'm with WAICU, but I'm also going to refer to myself as being from Wisconsin private colleges. And that's what I'll start talking with you about first. The slide shows that there are 23 private colleges and universities in the state of Wisconsin from all around, they're all located all around the state. As far north is Northland College in Ashland, Wisconsin, Viterbo, which is on the far western side of the state, south in Beloit on the Illinois border, that's our farthest south college university, and then we have many institutions that are on Lake Michigan, or in the Milwaukee area, and in the Fox Valley. So, a variety of schools to choose from within our sector, and we represent over 52,000 students and have 470 different programs, academic programs from which to choose from, whether you're wanting to be at a small school or a little bit larger in an urban, suburban, or rural setting. So what I'm going to chat with you about is thinking about students who might wish to start their college education at one of the Wisconsin technical colleges here in the state, of which there are 16. And so there's a special transfer agreement that's been put together just recently between the Wisconsin private colleges and the technical colleges, which would allow you, as you're thinking about your college education, perhaps you wanted to start as a student at one of the 16 Wisconsin technical colleges, you'd have an option to attend one of the private colleges in the state that's participating in this transfer agreement. So what's important to all of us in this presentation certainly is that you're finding the right fit for you, and that could mean that you'd want to start working on that technical college degree, but choose to finish and receive a bachelor's at a private college. So you can see the 15 colleges here that are listed on on the slide. So perhaps you might be a high school student that chooses to go to Gateway Technical College, and you'll be hearing more from them today. And you want to receive your bachelor's at Carroll University. Well, you could certainly do that with help from this transfer agreement. So we can look at the next slide that'll show you some of the highlights of this agreement. And essentially, I mentioned that you would be participating, all 16 technical colleges in the state participate, and there are 14 courses that could transfer for direct credit versus elective credit, which is something that we'll talk a little bit about, but essentially that would mean that you wouldn't have to spend extra money to take that course that we'll look at in a moment. Let's say you took a sociology course within the technical college system, and then you wanted that to transfer to one of these 15 Wisconsin private colleges. Well, you could certainly do that. What would be required is that you come in from your technical college with your technical college credits with a C, a grade of C or better. So that's another incentive just to do as well as you can while you're at any level of your college journey. And then you could take up to 10 years to transfer those credits, but most people, want to work within, a couple of years. And then as, let's say that you were that gateway technical college student and you wanted to go to Carroll University, you would need to be accepted to Carroll University through their admissions process. So that's a little bit of the overview and the highlights. And then to look at the courses that are in the agreement, again, I mentioned sociology just at the beginning of the list. There are these 14 courses that would allow you might be taking a written communications course or an English composition course at Gateway, for instance, and then you could seamlessly transfer that to Carroll. Carroll would accept that. I think when you're thinking about transfer, it's always interesting because there might be a thought that everything can move between all of the UW system campuses, the technical colleges and the private colleges, but it doesn't quite always work that way. So we hope that this gives you some options as you're thinking about what you want to do next after high school, or if you want to make a transfer, or you're an existing technical college student, but at least gives you that option. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Mauro Santiago at Milwaukee Area Technical College, and he's going to take it from here.
Thank you, Kathy, and hello, everyone. Again, my name is Mauro Santiago with the Milwaukee Area Technical College, and we're really excited to share all of this information with you, and we hope that you find it useful. What I want to talk to you about is how you can start your college plan at a technical college and then transfer that on to a four-year college to finish up a bachelor's degree. Two things I really want to differentiate are the two types of associate degrees that can be earned at a technical college. We have the Associate of Applied Science and the Associate of Arts or Associate of Science. The Applied Science degree is really known, and by the way, they are both known as two-year degrees. I sometimes try not to refer to them as two-year degrees because really it just depends on how quickly you work through the requirements. Some people might do it in less time, but the average time for a full-time student is 2 years. So this Applied Science degree the main goal is to prepare the graduate for employment right after graduation. In fact, MATC students find jobs at a rate of 95% within 6 months of graduation. So we're very proud of our grads for that. And it is all about the hands-on and technical employment-based training that we offer. These two-year degrees also include a handful of general studies that include the sociologies and the psychologies that Cassie just spoke of. These degrees also have specific transfer agreements to four-year colleges. And they are sometimes known as a terminal degree because you can really finish up that degree and take it to the workforce and work for the rest of your life. But studies do show that your earning potential is much higher if you stay in school and you continue your education. So just a step back to the transfer agreements, this is probably when you start looking at, well, where do I go after MATC? And the applied science degrees have very specific transfer agreements to schools. So the plan is always to plan early, work with your advisors, and hopefully also work with the transfer counselor or advisor at your next school so that you make sure that you're taking all of the right courses. You know, those 14 courses are specified, and we want to make sure that you're making smart decisions. On the other side is more of an academic degree, the Associate of Arts or Associate of Science. These are also known as two-year degrees, and they are designed to provide the academic foundations to get you to your next academic goal. So they are very general in nature. They are seen or kind of recognized as the first 2 years of a 4-year degree. And then those courses, will be more of your English and sociologies and your psychologies. And we do have some transfer agreements for the general Associate of Arts or Science, but these are also known to be very flexible. They can go to just about any college or university. But again, we always recommend working with your future counselor so that you are taking the right classes. And these agreements exist to make your life a little easier. And we're really happy that you're considering potentially starting at a 2-year college and then continuing on by using the 14 credits. There's a great agreement, 14 classes. There's a great agreement that we have with the technical college and the Wisconsin private colleges. With that, I'll hand it over to Samantha at MSOE.
Hello, everyone. My name is Samantha. Like Marwell said, I am a non-traditional admissions counselor at the Milwaukee School of Engineering. So I specifically work with transfer students. And I'm going to be talking a little bit today about pathway programs, which is kind of what Marwell was hinting at the end of his slide there. He was talking about transfer agreements. So they are known by a couple different names: pathway programs, transfer agreements, articulation agreements. Sometimes people call them 2+2s. But essentially, pathway programs are programs that provide guaranteed course transfer and provide a straightforward path from a 2-year technical college all the way to a 4-year institution. So students in the pathway program will start at a technical college, complete their 2-year associate's degree, and then transfer into a 4-year institution to complete their bachelor's degree on a specified pathway. So typically these programs are 2+2, meaning students will spend 2 years at their technical college and then 2 years at their 4-year institution to complete their bachelor's degree, but exceptions do exist, such as students being part-time students, students not passing necessary courses, or students taking incorrect classes, which can push them into a 2+2.5 or a 2+3. But typically they are a 2+2 program. But to prevent this and to keep students on track, students will always work very closely with their 2-year advisor and their 4-year advisor at the 4-year institution to ensure that they're taking the correct courses along the pathway. So when you're researching these pathway programs, it's very important to take a look at where you are and where you want to be, because a lot of 4-year institutions have different pathway programs and are partnered with different technical colleges. So just to give you an example, MSOE has 2 pathway programs. Our first is our electrical engineering transfer program, and in this program, students are enrolled at one of the 9 partner technical colleges in Wisconsin, also in Minnesota and Illinois, and they earn their electrical engineering technology degree first at the 2-year institution, and then they'll transfer to MSOE to finish the degree and get their electrical engineering bachelor's degree in additional 2 years. The second pathway program we have is our new technical sales program, where students can attend any of the Wisconsin Technical College schools and earn their Associates of Applied Sciences degree, and then transfer to MSOE and complete their technical sales business administration degree within an additional 2 years. So the next question I have there is, why is it an important option for students? And although there are many reasons why this is an important option for students to have, I've kind of highlighted 2 of the important reasons there. So the first is students are often unsure about what they want to do when they leave high school. Some students are not really ready to move on to a 4-year institution, or you might be unsure of what you want to study, or you want to take advantage of what 2-year colleges have to offer. So pathway programs are often a really good step for students straight out of high school. Often the path chosen by students straight out of high school does not go according to plan always. So you may have some bumps along the road, or you may change your mind about what you want to study. So it's really good to have this option for students who are really unsure of what they want to do after they leave high school. The second reason is it really takes the guesswork out of which credits will transfer. So we hit on it a little bit earlier. It's very important to know that different schools accept different credits for transfer. So you may find out that the math class that you took at your technical college might not be accepted at one of your 4-year institutions that you want to attend. So another example for MSOE is all of our programs, all of our engineering programs, we start at calculus. So if you've taken any math class that's lower than calculus, it's not going to transfer into MSOE's engineering programs. So that's really important to know, because again, some students think that all credits will transfer into all institutions, but a pathway program is a really good choice that will let you know exactly which credits will transfer in. And finally, why should students consider them? I think the biggest reason is it really saves time and money for students, essentially students are not wasting time or money taking the credits that might not actually transfer or credits that they need for their four-year degree. If you're not on a pathway program, your credits from the two-year technical college, they're not guaranteed to transfer into every four-year institution. I said that before and it really holds true. If you decide to change your program of study or even your career aspirations when transferring from your two-year to your four-year institution, those credits you took might not apply. And that's where some wasted time and money can come from. So if you're on a specific pathway program, you're taking exactly what is needed for your associate's degree and your eventual four-year degree. And this is guaranteed by the agreement in place and also the communication with your technical college advisor and your four-year institution advisor. There's also a really big relationship building factor with pathway programs, and that's between faculty, students, and admission counselors as well. So in a pathway program, your four-year institution faculty is typically following you through the pathway even when you start at your technical college. So even before you arrive on campus, that faculty is going to know you, and you're really going to have a connection to your four-year institution even before you arrived on campus. Your admissions counselor from the four-year institution is usually always following you as well and making sure that they're connecting you with everything on the four-year institution's campus. So when you arrive, you're really prepared. The last thing is scholarships. So some institutions will also offer additional scholarships for students who arrive on pathway programs. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Bao with Gateway Technical College.
Thank you. Again, I'm Bao Lee, Director of Recruitment at Gateway Technical College, and I'm going to be talking to you about the time spent at one college and then transferring to another college, and if that means less time that you'll spend at that last college. I'm going to pick up where Samantha had talked about articulation agreements or transfer agreements. Say if you're going to start at a technical college and you're planning to transfer to a four-year college and there is a transfer agreement in place, usually the transfer agreement covers classes so that you don't lose credits when you transfer, but it doesn't always translate into doing less time at that four-year college. You could still very well spend 3 years or maybe 4 years at that four-year college after transferring in all your credits. So going back to what Samantha had mentioned earlier, math, for instance, if you take math at Gateway and now you're transferring it to MSOE, although you may not lose the credits, it may not go in as a direct equivalent. So it could put you back on some of the program classes that you have to take. And a lot of program classes follow a very specific sequence. Usually a first year, second year, third year, and four-year sequence. Now, if you are pursuing a 2+2 a pathway articulation agreement, where there's an agreement between the two colleges, and Samantha also touched on this earlier, it is exactly like how it sounds. It's completing your associate degree in hopefully that 2 years and then transferring the credits to that four-year college, following the same pathway and following the curriculum for that pathway. You could very well spend 2 years at that four-year college and be done with your bachelor's degree, equating to 4 years. So, you know, if your credits transfer in and it's not a 2+2 pathway, although you'll still be taking less classes, you've saved yourself money, you could still spend 3 years or more at that four-year college, unless you're pursuing a 2+2 agreement. The same goes for like a bachelor's to associate degree. A lot of times students who've started at a four-year college, whether you've completed your bachelor's degree or you've completed 2 or 3 years at that four-year college, if now you're looking at transferring to a technical college, say Gateway, it doesn't exactly mean less time at Gateway, as in it will only take you a year to complete your associate degree. That's usually not the case. You'll still likely transferring credits, be taking less classes, but it could still very well take you 2 years to complete an associate degree. So overall, transferring could still save you money, still save you time as far as like the number of classes that you'll have to take, but it doesn't always equate to a 2+2. Overall, you're all here, So you're planning ahead, you're doing the research. My recommendation would be, if you know you're going to be transferring, work with both colleges so that you can plan out your classes. You know exactly what classes you'll be taking at each college, and you'll know how much time you'll spend at each of the colleges. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Kira from Waukesha County Technical College.
Hi students, hi parents, really glad you're here. We have covered a lot of territory in a very short amount of time. So I'm just going to give you some really quick tips on keeping it together as you're making some really big choices. So my big focus is to let you know this is all about you. So don't skimp. Really understand and find the confidence to be that self-advocate for yourself. These are really important choices. And so just dig in there and trust yourself. Also, I want to be real clear and say, ask your questions, and we hopefully will have some time at the end here to do just that. My big piece with that is ask, and then ask again. The fact is, all of us here on the panel know things can change, our curriculum can change, but we are working together. All of us on the panel connect behind the scenes. And so if you're not quite getting the answer that you think makes the best sense, please ask again. Find another source of information, that kind of thing. And the last thing I want to share very quickly is build your own support team, build that transfer team. So we've got to start here. Maybe the representatives you're seeing here today aren't the exact school that you're interested in, or schools, but understand that we're at every single institution. And so reach out and find us, start there, use your high school counselors, family, friends. Don't do this alone, okay? That is my main message. And so I'm gonna hand it off to Margot for some last remarks.
Great, thanks, Kara. Well, my name is Margot Leone, and I'm the Assistant Director over Transfer Admissions here at Marquette University. And I just want to open up the conversation a little bit about what transfer actually is. And so sometimes we think transfer as only if I've been to one university and I'm going somewhere else, where in reality, transfer is bigger than that. It is really any time you are taking classes from one institution and trying to move them somewhere else. So maybe as a high school student, you're doing dual credit. Those credits are going to potentially transfer for you if you're going to another institution down the road. Or maybe you decide you've selected your institution, you're taking classes there, but you're coming home for the summer and you want to take a summer school class. That's another example of transferring and taking that summer school class at one location and getting it to another institution. Or maybe down the road you choose to study abroad when we're past this COVID situation. All these are examples of how transfer might fit into your plans, even if you don't see yourself as a transfer student right now, or ideas for where it can work for you in the future. And like Kara said, there's lots of resources out there for transfer students. All of us, we manage transfer and work with transfer students on a daily basis, but there are transfer admission staff at every institution. It's important to work smarter and not harder, and to plan ahead with transfer and to ask those questions, finding those admission counselors at any institution that can be your resource. You don't have to be a transfer student to talk to them. It's okay to start asking questions early, even as a high school student, as you're starting to plan out your path. It's important to look at websites. So just like every institution has a freshman admissions website, there's typically a transfer website as well, with completely different information and completely different resources available to you. There's also what's known as a college catalog or a bulletin, depending on the school you're looking at. These are the rules, these are the requirements. These documents, typically now online, outline every piece of what it takes to earn a degree from that institution and what the requirements are for each individual degree. So it's important to look at those documents, and if you're not sure how to read them, that's okay. That's where we come into place and we help explain that for you. It's important to work smarter and not harder, like we talked about. Classes transfer, but they transfer differently depending on the institution you're looking at. Maybe it'll come in as an exact match. English 1 is English 1 at the next school, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's an elective. Where those classes count will matter for how long you spend at that institution working towards the degree that you're working towards. So another tool that's available is free. It's called Transferology. It's www.transferology.com. It's used here in Wisconsin. It's used out of state. It's a great resource if you're trying to figure out what classes will transfer or how classes will transfer from one institution to another. And it's going to be a really great tool for you, whether you decide to do dual credit, summer school, study abroad, or even become a transfer student down the road. So with that, we will open it up for questions. There's not currently any questions in the box, but we have provided our personal contact information for you so that you can always reach out at a later time if something does come up. At this time, since we don't have any specific questions, I would ask if there's anyone else on any of our panelists that have anything specific they'd like to add in addition to what we've covered already today.
I would just like to add that sometimes the question comes up about timing. If I'm considering a transfer to another institution, how soon should I reach out to a representative if I haven't already, which is our advice, right? How soon should I reach out? And I can speak from the Carroll perspective is that we usually say 1 semester prior to the intended transfer. That way we can, get you in line with the registration process and timeline, make sure financial aid, very important there as well, it is laid out and understood and agreed upon. But that was just something that came to mind is how, and of course we have people that are really on top of their game and they're applying much sooner than that. And others might be a little more on the procrastinating side and come to us closer to the start of a term. But reach out, whatever works best for you in whichever way. I know a lot of institutions also offer unofficial transcript credit evaluations to give you kind of an unofficial look as how their courses will come over. Now, as you saw earlier, based on the agreement, we have, how those 14 specific courses would come over, but it's going to vary school to school. So you might benefit from having that preview, if you will, of your work and determine how it transfers to that specific institution.
I do want to add in from a technical college standpoint, if you are thinking about transferring, a lot of technical colleges do host transfer fairs right on campus where we'll invite like the four-year colleges and universities to come and showcase programs and articulation agreements between the two colleges. Students can connect with the transfer representatives at the transfer fair too. So some colleges will host a transfer fair once a year. Others may host it once every semester. So I would encourage that you take advantage of those. Go, even if you're not thinking about transferring, visit with the colleges and see what's out there.
And I would add many of those have moved virtual for the next semester or so. So they haven't gone away. Transfer staff is still available and the schools are still interested in talking with students and answering questions.
I'm drawing back on some of my experience when I first went to college. And who knew that you needed a FAFSA done every year? And I did not know that until the end of my summer after freshman year of college. So don't let yourself be in that position. Do your FAFSAs early. They become available on October 1st, and you will have to do that every year if you are planning on using federal financial aid. The great thing is that nothing really changes, that all of that information stays the same. So if you do plan on transferring, it's basically creating the same FAFSA, just with the new school. So keep that in mind when you reach out to the next school within, the semester prior. Let that be one of your first steps. Fill out that FAFSA along with the admissions application, do it all together and do it early. Don't make the same mistakes I did.
So we have our first question here. Students specifically is directing this to you, Marwell. Students been looking into the MATC's pre-major programs. Are those guaranteed transfer credits for any Wisconsin college, or are they just likely transfer credits? So do you
Yeah, a lot of them are basically transfer credits. You still have to go through the admissions process. We do have a few guaranteed admission programs through the UW system. It's Madison, UWM, and Parkside. And through the private system, we have an agreement with Marquette, actually. So that will get you into the college itself, into the university. Then it's a matter of actually getting into the program that you want to get into. So it gets you into the college. You still have to work to get into, like if you're going into nursing or pre-med or something, you still have to get into the program itself as well. Am I missing any other? I think Marquette's the only official agreement, but all of the schools work very closely together, and I don't think you're bound to the guaranteed admission programs because the associative arts or science, like I said earlier, are pretty flexible and they can go just about anywhere.
Yeah, and I would add that a lot of times there's multiple options. There's lots of ways to get to your end goal, whether that's stacking one transfer program, for example, the technical college system with a WAICU school, or other agreements that schools already have. A lot of times they can piggyback on each other. And by working with transfer staff, you can hear all those nuances and all those different directions and pathways that are available to help streamline the process.
It doesn't look like we have any additional questions. So we absolutely, unless any of the panelists have any final thoughts, we absolutely appreciate you joining us this afternoon and whenever you're viewing our presentation. And we look forward to having you on any or all of our campuses this coming fall or fall of 2021. Thank you.
And attendees, thank you for being here. Panelists, on behalf of WAICU, thank you for sharing the great information there. This concludes the session. When I end the webinar, the attendees will be given a quick survey. If you could be so kind as to fill out that 4-question survey, we would appreciate it. A reminder that a recording of this session and all other sessions as part of this virtual college exploration program will be made available on the website wacac.com, and that you can also sign up for any of the future sessions. This program will be running through the end of Thursday of this week, also at wacac.com. With that, that concludes it. Thanks and have a great day, everyone.